Every sales process starts with sourcing prospects or sourcing potential leads for us to sell to. In this video, we're going to break down conceptually how we go about doing this. And in the next video, we're going to look at a real life example. How do we source prospects for us to sell our products to? So let's start with our sales funnel here. We're looking at the top phase or the top step in the sales process, the sourcing step here. This again is the responsibility of the sales development rep to go out there and source new leads, source prospects for us to sell to. So the ultimate question of an SDR is, who do you want to sell to? Who's a good fit for our product, our service that we want to go and sell to? And the answer is going to be target prospects that fit the ideal profile of the type of customer we want to sell to. So, for example, if we are Canary and we are selling our mobile app to hotels to allow their guests to check in without having to talk to the front desk, the question of who do we want to sell to is probably going to include hotels. Now, it might be more in depth than that, but at a bare minimum, we know that we want to go and sell to hotels. So how do we start to define what type of hotels we want to sell to? Well, before we go out there and start just emailing, calling every hotel in the world, we want to start with our ideal customer profile. This ICP, ideal customer profile, describes the perfect customer for your product you're selling. So again, if we're Canary, we know we sell a mobile app to hotels so that their guests can check in easier and faster. So our ICP is going to include hotels, and more specifically is going to break down the ideal hotel that we want to sell to. And we'll look at this example here in a second. Beneath that, we have buyer personas. And the buyer persona really just describes the person at that company, at that potential prospect that will buy your solution or that you want to engage with for your solution. So for example, again, if we're Canary, we know we want to sell to hotels. Now, who do we want to talk to at the hotel to sell to? Do we want to talk to the janitor? Do we want to talk to the valet driver? Probably not, right? We want to talk to somebody that oversees hotel operations, or maybe the general manager, or maybe there's a guest experience person at that hotel that we want to talk to. So the buyer persona just describes the type of person that we want to go find online, find their information, find their contact information, and then try to engage with to sell our solution. So we're going to look at examples here in a moment of how we do both of these steps, but let's just break this down a little bit further. Starting with the ideal customer profile. So the ICP of the customer or the prospect that you're reaching out to is going to differ for every single company. No two companies are going to have the exact same ICP because no two products or services are the same. But some very common attributes here could be things like industry. What industries are you selling into? How big or small are those companies that you're selling to? And maybe that's described by number of employees. Maybe it's described by revenue. Where are those companies located? Can you sell to anybody in the world? Can you only sell to companies in the United States? Can you only sell to companies in Boston or New York? What geography are they in? And then what are some of those potential pain points that you're looking for that a customer might have or an ideal customer might have for you? So again, if this is Canary and we know we sell a mobile app to hotels, we might our industry would be hospitality industry, and more specifically, hotels. Hotels are folks that we want to go after. Now, how big or small of hotels? Maybe we can only sell to medium-sized hotels. Maybe they have employees in the range of 100 to 1,000. We're not selling to the world's biggest hotels with 10,000, 20,000 employees, and we're not selling to small mom-and-pop boutiques. So maybe that's how we start to define that medium-sized range hotels that have 100 to 1,000 employees. Maybe we can sell to hotels all across the United States, but not outside of the United States. So our geography is limited to the US right now. And what type of pain points might these hotels have? Maybe they're hotels that are trying to improve guest experience. Maybe they're hotels that are trying to improve guest health and well-being and safety by not making them come in and chat with another human being, but by letting them move from check-in right to their hotel room on their own. So we'll start to define this and do some examples here, but that's the ideal customer profile here. It's really just profiling out the attributes of the ideal customer you want to go after. And then again, When we're looking at buyer personas, we're looking at the person at that company that we actually want to go and talk to. So again, if we are Canary, we're probably not going to go try to target the valet drivers, or we're not trying to target the janitors, or we're not even trying to target maybe like the housekeeping team. We're looking for the person at that company that can actually make a buying decision and engage with us about buying our product or our service. So departments, if we're Canary, that might be operations, hotel operations. It could be guest experience. Maybe there's a department like that. For titles, we might narrow it down to general manager or chief operating officer or guest experience manager. I'm not sure what the titles would look like. We can look at this as an example in a second here. But you want to be as specific as possible so that you can go find other customers or other prospects that meet your buyer persona. And then there could be things like responsibilities, how long have they been at that company, what pain points might that person individually be having. But again, that's the ICP, that's the buyer persona. Before you make a single phone call, before you send a single email, you really need to define who you're reaching out to, both at a company level and at a persona level, so that you can tailor your talk tech, tailor your emails to those people.